welcome back to my channel Cloud DevOps Server. In today's video we are going to discuss about ECS service provided by AWS Cloud. In my previous video I have explained about ECR service and we discussed about how to create Docker image, how to push the Docker image and pull the Docker image from the ECR repository. So this is the video that is continuation of that ECR service. Before continuing with this video, I recommend you to go through that video first, and once you complete that video you can have a better understand about what we are discussing in this video. So before going further, let's understand what is ECS service. ECS is also known as Elastic Container Service that is provided by AWS Cloud. It is also a container orchestration platform. It helps us to run Docker containers on EC2 instances or serverless using Fargate. We use ECS service for container orchestration. With this we can specify how many number of containers should we want to run, and this service keeps them alive. It automatically restarts them. In any case of failure occurs and container goes down, it always keeps them alive and automatically restarts the new container again. ECS service maintains the design number of running tasks that handles scaling, load balancing, and self-healing of containerized applications. So before going further, let's understand the workflow and concept overview. I have my Docker image that is created through Docker file, and I have pushed that image to the ECR repository, which is there in my AWS account. In this video, we are going to create a cluster, and once we created the cluster, we are going to create the task definition, and after that we are going to create the ECS service, and we are going to fetch the Docker image that is there inside the ECR repository, and we are going to access the application that is there inside the Docker image through the public IP. So now let's go to the AWS console. So this is my AWS console. Let's search here ECR. This is the React app repository that I have created, and this is my Docker image. We are going to use this image. Search here ECS. Go to cluster section. Currently I don't have any clusters. Click on create cluster. Provide cluster name. Here we can see the infrastructure setting. We have different options to select compute capacity. Currently we are going with Fargate only, which is serverless, and based on our requirement we can select one of these compute capacity option. And here we can see we have additional information about the compute types. Now click on create. Here we can see our cluster is going to create. It will take some time. Our cluster was created successfully. Now we have to go to task definition section. Click on create new task definition. Provide name over here. If we go to the infrastructure requirements part, it is asking again the launch type. Let's go with the AWS Fargate. I'm using this particular Linux architecture, and if we go down we have CPU. So now we can select the CPU type based on our application deployment. Currently I'm going with 1 vCPU and I'm going with 2 GB memory. Now here we can see task roles. We can create a role, so we can go to the IAM role section. We can create role over there. You can see task execution role. A task execution IAM role is used by the container agent to make AWS API request on your behalf. So it is going to use this task execution role. We have to attach the policy for this role. I'll show you that. Go to IAM roles. So this is the role that I have created. This is the policy that I have attached to this role. Amazon ECS task execution role policy. So this is what we have attached here. Now if you go to the container section, here we have to provide the name. Here we have to provide the image link. Now select this image and copy this URL. Go back to ECS. Paste the URL over here. Or else you can also browse ECR images from here. Now go down. Here we can see port mappings. As we are deploying our application through Nginx server, we are going to use 80 port. Now coming to the resource allocation limits. For now I am going to leave this resource allocation limits as it is and not providing any parameters over here. Now coming to the environment variables, if you have, you can provide the environment variables, that is optional. So next, going to the logging part, you can see the logs by using these parameters. By default it is enable and keeping as it is. So based on your requirement you can use these additional options like health check, container timeouts, container network settings, etc. Now go down and click on create. I am leaving default settings as it is. Let's click on create. The task definition was created successfully and it is active. Now we have created the task, and if you go to the deploy section, here we can see create service, update service and run task. So once we create a service, we can run our task. So now to create service, we have to go to cluster section again. Go to my cluster React. And here we can see services. Under services, I don't have any new service. Click on create. Now here we can see it is asking task definition family. We have to provide the task name that we have created. Click the drop down and select the task name that we have created. Now go down to the environment section and select the compute option as launch type, platform version as latest. Now scroll down to the deployment configuration settings. So now here we have to provide the desired task, that how many containers should we want to run in the real-time organization, important applications where we should not have any downtime issue. So in that case we have to maintain at least n number of instances. So as this is the demo purpose, I'm currently using 2 as my desired instances. Now if we go down, here we can see the deployment options. In this deployment options we have different kinds of deployment strategies. One is rolling update, blue-green deployment, canary deployment and linear deployment. So currently I'm going with the rolling update, and going further in my upcoming videos I'm going to make a video on this deployment strategies and deploy end-to-end application. So at that time we can discuss more about this deployment strategies. Coming to the networking section, here we can see I'm going to use the default VPC only, and I have selected subnets which is there in this region AP South 1, and I'm going to create a new security group over here. I'm going to use the HTTP port anyway. And finally, we have to keep the public IP turned on to get the public IP. And using this public IP only, we are able to access our application from the browser. So once we go down, we have different kinds of options. We can use these options based on our requirement. If you want to make your application scalable, you can use this load balancing option. Currently, I am not going to use this. So click on create. Here we can see service is getting created. It will take some time. Our service was created successfully and it is active. So if we go into the service, go to tasks, here we can see two that we have provided as our instances. Here we can see deployment status is showing as in progress. Let's wait for a while. Here we can see the tasks last status, it is running. Currently I am having two tasks that are running. Now if we go into the task 1, here we can see the additional details of the task. This is the configuration details. And here we can see the logs of the task. So these are the logs that it generated. Coming to the networking part, here we can see the task role, public IP and private IP. Using this public IP, we can access our application. So now let's click on open address. Here we can see our application is up and running and we are able to access our application through ECS. Actually, this application code that I have bought from Sagar Kakla's repo, and I have made few changes. So this is how you can use the ECS service to deploy your application. So this is all about this demo. This is how we can use the ECS service to deploy our application, pulling the Docker image from the ECR repository and accessing the application through public IP. So once you are done with your practical session, make sure you are deleting the resources that you have created on cloud, or else you'll get charged. So that's all for this demo. Thanks for watching.